My hands were shaking as I held onto the microphone, its slick surface slipping a little under my sweaty grip. Bright stage lights made everything too clear, tracing the nervous tremor in my fingers, the line of sweat on my brow. Behind me, my robot Tessera stood under the same harsh glow, her metallic skin somehow both impressive and cold. The projection made her giant, towering over the crowd in a conference hall in Barra da Tijuca. All those investors waited, stone-faced, bored, or already looking for reasons to laugh. I tried to steady myself, clicking the presentation remote with my thumb. Tessera's arm, just slightly too slow, lifted in a clunky wave. "Good morning," I started, lips dry. "My name is Lucas Azevedo. I'm here to show you Tessera, an affordable home robot." A titter ran through the seats. One man in a sagging suit leaned back and said too loudly, "Robos. Aqui no Brasil, isso nunca vai rolar." Ignoring him, I pressed on. "She can help in the home, cleaning, carrying, even helping the elderly." I gestured just as Tessera raised a tray with 2 mugs. One mug tipped and rolled off, crashing to the floor with a sound that made me wince. Someone in the back let out a deep, mocking belly laugh. "Maybe she can work in my kitchen if she likes breaking dishes," another investor called out, his voice slicing through whatever hope I had left. My pitch crumbled. I heard myself stammering, my words fragile and broken. I glanced at Tessera and saw my own reflection warped in the curve of her shoulder, exhausted eyes, mouth tight, sweat running down my face. My time was up even before I finished. There was a subtle tap from the stage hand, and I let the microphone fall away from my mouth. Relief and shame crashed through me. I could barely remember how I got backstage, how I navigated through the darkness, my phone buzzing with messages. From Murillo, my cousin, "How'd it go? Already embarrassed yourself?" And below that, my mother's familiar line, "Have you thought about going back to college?" They were just text, but I felt every syllable like a fresh slap. I trudged out into the dusk, the city's lights blurring behind glass, my shoulders hunched, my bag heavy with the last few years of my life zipped inside. Cosme Velho was slick with rain, a patchwork of laundry and flickering apartment windows. My mother had left a cauldron of feijoada simmering, the warmth of it only making my chest twist tighter. I stopped in the entryway, hearing Camilla, my older sister. "Mi, ele fica insistindo nisso de robo," Camilla was saying. "Quem vai comprar isso?" My mother's reply, "He just wanted to do something different." "Some people live with their head in the clouds," fill her. I stood in the door, watched Camilla scroll absent-mindedly through her phone. She looked up and offered a resigned sigh, sad, almost gentle, the kind you give a puppy who's ruined another shoe. We sat in silence at dinner. Later, Murillo's laugh exploded from the tinny phone speaker. "Hey Einstein, has your robot learned to wash money yet, or still just mugs?" At family gatherings, their jokes grew sharper. My grandmother prayed aloud for my soul, hoping I'd find a normal job soon. Even old classmates found a photo of my face on stage, posting it with laughing emojis. I started replaying the pitch every night, lying flat and cold in bed, Tessera sitting silent by my desk. Maybe they're right, I'd think. Maybe I am a fool. Freelance work dried up. People got cagey about hiring a grown man living with his mother. Sometimes I'd remember my father, how he worked the tramlines with worn, careful hands. He treasured the consistency of engines, not the chaos of dreams. I felt further from him, and from reality each time the doubts crept closer. Eventually, I found myself taking Tessera to the old tram depot, now half ruined and dust-dark, where neighborhood kids played football. They'd gather around, wide-eyed with excitement or disbelief. Most days, Tessera's arm jammed or her battery died, but sometimes she delivered a cup, fetched a ball, handed a box of medicine to someone's grandmother. Slow but undeniable progress. One rainy afternoon, Dona Celeste, small, sharp-eyed, walking with a cane, watched Tessera help her neighbor across the street. She poked at Tessera's knee. "Benito, mas será que agente leva uma cesta cheia das minhas compras?" "Let's try, Dona," I answered, trying to smile but shaking with nerves. She pressed her lips together, almost approving. "If you make cheap things for poor people, you're a saint here." There was something soft in her words, like a door cracked open. More people started noticing. A neighbor called me to repair her grandkid's robot. A local school asked for help assembling kit robots. I joined a virtual makers group, others like me, sharing stories over choppy video and cheap beer, tinkering in city corners across the world. Sleep shrank down to 4 hours a night. Hope got replaced with grim determination. That promise to myself to quit only after I'd given absolutely everything was all that kept me from giving in. It was Professor Batista, vice principal at the technical school, who found a way forward. His left hand always shook from old polio, but he was as sharp as anyone I'd met. He called me into his office. "Lucas, you're talented. Not for the stage maybe, but for everything else. Health Services is running a public contest. They want tech for the elderly. Will you try?" The hope felt risky, almost painful. "Really, you think I have a chance?" He shrugged, half smile. "If you don't risk, you don't win." Adrenaline pushed me home, heart punching at my chest. All that night I edited the project's documentation, made sure video of Tessera climbing stairs was clear, wrote up our new cost-saving design. I tried to pour out as simply as possible why Tessera mattered, how she could be built and serviced right there in our community. The waiting was agony. After 3 weeks, a message popped up. We'd been chosen for a pilot project. The grant wasn't huge, but it was enough. 3 months to build, tweak, test. I worked like someone possessed. I learned about gritty motors, sensors hacked from phone parts, code running on scraps of memory. I met with occupational therapists, ran after-school demos, got surveys from neighbors. Nothing was easy, from dead batteries to blown circuits. But when the pilot finished, Tessera 3.1 rolled smoothly down uneven steps, her joints handling baskets and bags. A local journalist ran a story with video of donor Celeste sending Tessera off with groceries. It went viral. Teachers wrote, students asked for advice. My inbox filled up. Some messages were cruel, the old, dull cynicism, but most were curious or hopeful. Buried amongst them, just a bland email from an assistant at SampaTech. I almost deleted it. When I read it, I stopped breathing. Would I be interested in a meeting? Their Sao Paulo office was pure glass and humming machinery, a far cry from my battered school stage demo. Their team peppered me with questions, asked about real-world problems, about hills and slums and failures. For the first time, I told it simply, how we'd failed, repaired, tried again, how each fix made Tessera exactly what people needed. The silence afterward was terrifying. Then quietly the project lead nodded. SampaTech would fund Tessera's manufacturing right there in Rio, partly in the favelas. We trained new assemblers. Tessera became a line, not a one-off, her modules tough enough for the steepest alley or busiest house. The robots learned local slang, their arms became steadier, their wheels gripped better. Within 2 years we had real money, enough for my mother's apartment, enough to help Murillo's kid get into a technical school, enough to breathe. Gradually, the jokes at parties faded. Murillo stopped with the Einstein routine. Camilla asked if I could set up a learning toy for her daughter. 5 years after that first, humiliating pitch, my old school put on a community innovation festival. Press from all over came, hoping for a good headline. The gymnasium was packed, my mother in the front, Murillo squeezed in behind her, even the uncle who'd asked if my robot could fix his leaky roof. The city council crowded the nearest row, waiting to see gadgets, wary of empty promises. I took the stage, steadier now, knowing the laughter behind me was gone. I rolled Tessera 6.0 out to the center, her white shell gleaming under the gymnasium lights. I looked across all those faces, judgmental, hopeful, tired. I told them the truth about the broken mugs, donor Celeste's groceries, the long, lonely nights of failure. People see a machine, I finished, my voice clear, but here everyone understands the value of an offered hand. I pressed the remote. Tessera rolled out, careful, arms lifting a pot of feijoada to donor Celeste, now grinning beside a younger woman. Laughter burst from the children. The robot started a local song. People clapped, unsure at first, then louder. After the ceremony, Murillo wrapped me in a half-embarrassed hug. You did it, Lucas. You really made something good from nothing. Camilla came close, hugging me briefly before whispering, sorry, I didn't see what you were doing. None of us did. I laughed shakily, that's life. Sometimes you only see the bridge once it's finished. That night the city spread out below, the lights, the smell of jasmine, the sound of trams in the distance. Tessera's new eyes blinked blue against the darkness. For the first time, I let go of the shame and just felt peace, knowing what I'd built mattered here in this place with these people. As the crowd drifted home, I stayed for a minute longer, breathing in the heavy evening air. We were ready, me, Tessera, all of us, to move forward, not perfect but changed.